Hello and welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to learn about the extensions and the configuration management of your virtual machines. As you know, as of now, we have created multiple virtual machines and we know that how to create the virtual machines. But have you ever think about how can we go for a standardization of those virtual machine settings? When I say settings, we are talking about multiple things like applications. Let's say XYZ application should be automatically available when you create the virtual machine, or maybe antivirus, or it should be automatically taken care by backups, or your application settings. Let's say a specific settings must be configured automatically on your virtual machines. Also your operating system settings, or maybe your application monitoring and your infrastructure monitoring. All these things, how best you can actually go for a configuring the configurations. So this is where it actually helps us the extensions, as we have talked a little bit in a different lectures about the extensions. But in this lecture, we're going to actually have a look on the extensions. When we go back to any of the virtual machines and you have the extensions here, when you click on the extensions add, you are getting actually different extensions that can be added. Some of them are actually coming from a third party, some of them are a common things, like you can go for a custom script extension to perform some kind of a script that should be doing automatically, might be a batch or maybe a PowerShell script that you wanted to execute on your virtual machine as soon as it's created, or maybe once it is created, when you're working you wanted to automatically execute this specific script without actually you log into the virtual machine, or you can run some kind of PowerShell scripts also. So when we talk about these kind of extensions, this will make our job little easy when we talk about any of these kind of settings that to be automatically configured. This is where Microsoft introduced extensions, right? So within these extensions there is a dedicated extension called PowerShell DSC, or desired configuration. You see here you have the PowerShell desired configuration. This is nothing but a specific state called desired state, we call it. So within that specific state, the virtual machine always should be available. If not found any of the application, or maybe application configuration or monitoring agent or backup is not configured or anything, it's go ahead and it will be automatically doing that. Of course, for that you need to actually create your script that will actually do all these things. So the script language would be PowerShell. So you're going to actually write a normal PowerShell script, but in a standard format called PowerShell desired state configuration, or DSC we call it. So within this format you are going to create it. But let's talk about the real world. In the real world, we have different extensions. When I say extensions, these are from a different companies like Chiv or Puppet for the automation of any kind of configurations that we talked in the previous slide. All these settings or applications can be fully automated with the Chiv or Puppet. And the major advantage with the Chiv and Puppet would be you can actually do from a single console. Whereas with the DSC, you have to do it each machine layer, and these two are considered as the enterprise. In fact, the DSC also, but we see mostly either Chef or Puppet would be used in our enterprises. Let's also talk about the custom scripts for a minute, about the benefits and the drawbacks. When we go back to virtual machines and the extensions, you can actually use the custom scripts also. This is where actually you are gonna show up the where you have your script. So there's no local domain credentials needed when you actually added your custom scripts, and you can directly use these scripts as it is executing in the backend with the built-in agent which is executing on this specific virtual machines. And the major drawback would be for this would be you must have to enable on at each VM level, and also it needs the internet access if you're using any kind of GitHub or a blob storage for scripts. You need to actually show up them, and these scripts can be actually pulled from your storage account or directly from the GitHub, and these are relatively slow in terms of the execution when we compare it with Chef or Puppet specific configurations. So you have these options. So let's focus more into the DSC. This is a sample DSC script. That's nothing but again a PowerShell based, like you see here, this is a configuration which is talking about who is doing or what is doing, and then the node which is going to be a local host, and the features which is going to be installed Windows features called IIS, and it will ensure that whether it is present and the name is web server. So within these features, whether this is a simple PowerShell script that you can easily understand that Windows features, whether IIS nothing but a web server is present or not. So that's what it's gonna monitor, and that's what it's going to be ensured that it will check for the present option.